Welcome everybody to the next episode of KapVista Klips. Here with me, I have Michael and Keith from Weaver Interactive and Eva, my trusty offsider. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining us, and we're keen to find out more about Weaver and what you're doing.
Great, thanks for having us.
Awesome. So I think we'll just kick it off and start. Tell us about your story. You know, as founders, tell us your story and how did you find yourself in the gaming and software development industry?
All right, so I'll kick it off, and then Keith will give his story. Mine's a bit unorthodox in terms of how I got into what we do, which is interactive storytelling, interactive entertainment. I actually originally went to law school to do human rights law, and got to law school. Everybody had warned me that I wasn't going to be happy with it. I thought I knew better. It turned out they were all correct, and I realized very quickly that is not what I wanted to do. But I did want to still keep, a mind towards how to make a, social, cultural impact. So anyway, I went through law school, finished. I ended up spending most of my days sitting in Riverside Park. I went to Columbia Law School, and right down the road was Riverside Park. And I sat there and started writing screenplays. And it was through that I realized that I wanted to be a storyteller. But anyway, I finished law school, took the bar, became an entertainment attorney, thinking I could kind of segue into more of the creative side from there. And then my first year out of law school, I had a fateful encounter with a homeless man named Billy, and we became friends. Turned out Billy was writing poetry, and when I saw his poems, I heard music in my head, and I knew there was a reason why I had met this guy, and I thought, we're going to take these poems, get major recording artists to turn them into music, and raise money for different homeless causes. So that's what I did, and I started something called the New Life Project, and we did a big event with Kanye West, Common, Mark Ronson, performing with homeless artists. And that sort of kind of headed me into this area that I call impact entertainment, sort of a fusion of pop culture and social impact. And then from there, I came up with some cool, innovative impact entertainment TV shows and movies. And I got signed as a screenwriter to William Morris, which is the big agency now, either called WME or Endeavor, keeps changing. But in any case, and during that time was the '08 election, and I was feeling inspired by Obama, and I wanted to show a bit of my creative abilities and have a voice in the election. And so I did a series of viral videos where we took pop culture movies like Rocky and Empire Strikes Back and turned them into viral videos called Baraki and The Empire Strikes Barack. And they did really well. I literally emailed them out to like 50 people, and they went viral, and we had millions of views and ended up getting a lot of media coverage and some nice accolades. And it started to open my mind up to what was possible. You didn't just have to maybe sell a movie or a TV show to be doing creative work in entertainment. And then oddly enough, from there, I ended up getting approached by Roger Waters, the lead singer of Pink Floyd's team. He loved the Obama videos, and he wanted to do something interactive for his big wall tour. And it was around the time that Farmville was just blowing up on Facebook. And so we kind of came up with a project around that, which ended up actually not coming to fruition, as many things don't, but it led me into interactive entertainment. From there, I started a company that partnered with the NBA. We did a mobile game that raised funds for the Boys and Girls Club, and then something for the 2016 election, partnering with Rock the Vote, which is a big voter rights organization in the US. And then headed fully on into interactive storytelling. That's when Keith came into the picture, and he can give you his background. But we had done some fully animated interactive storytelling things. And then we ended up partnering with NBC Universal to produce their interactive storytelling platform series. And that sort of was my path into interactive storytelling and the birth of what we're doing now.
Awesome.
Yeah, so my path's a little, actually very different. I'm a long time, entrepreneur. I think for the past 18 or 19 years, I've had my own companies. And how I got into interactive storytelling is mainly all because of Michael. We had met, we've about probably almost 10 years ago now. We met in a skybox at a Houston Rockets game down in Texas. Michael and a previous company of mine, we were 2 of 4 finalists at this angel competition. And so we met that night. We both realized we lived on the Upper West Side. We stayed in touch. And while none of us won the event, when somebody else won, it really was the beginning of what's turned into, both a great friendship and a strong business partnership. So I had, Michael and I were staying in touch. He was working at the company Endless Entertainment. I just started meeting with Michael and weighing in, and we kind of came up with a strategy, and that's how we then went out and got NBC Universal, and then we, scaled the team, scaled revenues, and we were off to the races together.
And I should note that when I met Keith at that angel investor conference, first of all, he was running his own company at the time that had a ton of potential. And just as he was talking, within a second, I'm like, oh my God, this is the kind of guy that we need at our company, as a sort of right-hand man partner. And it took a few years, but just through various things, again, meeting for drinks, playing darts, whatever, and fate playing out, we got him over here, and very lucky to have him.
Awesome.
Thank you.
That's great, guys. No, that's a fantastic story. And it really paints a picture. What I wanted to ask you, to either of you, is thinking of the space that you're in, the industry that you're across right now, what do you like about it most? What do you enjoy most?
Yeah. So I think, so I'm a storyteller at heart, and, storytelling is eternal, right? You go back all the way to the days of the cave people. I think that's the politically correct term now for people of that time. Cave people, it has always been, will always be popular. And whenever the timeless power of storytelling meets the latest technology, there's a paradigm shift, right? I mean, we're talking about the printing press, radio, film, television, video games, streaming, social media. They've all had profound changes on how we tell stories, consume them, distribute them. And I think interactive storytelling, number one, is we think the next big paradigm shift. And what we like about it is just the expansiveness of what you can do with it. Linear storytelling, obviously there's been incredible stories all throughout history told that way, whether it's a book, a play, a TV show, whatever, and will continue to do so. But it has limitations, right? It has to fit into a certain kind of a format. If it's a TV show, it's a 30 or a 60-minute show with, act breaks for commercials. Obviously, streaming has changed that a little bit, but only so much. And movies are, 90 to 120 minutes, and they follow a basic format. With interactive storytelling, it's really the Wild West right now. We are literally, as we speak, writing the rules of what is possible in this medium. And I guess I should say, what makes interactive storytelling different than everything that's come before is the fact that it's participatory, right? The audience gets to be part of the story by making decisions that branch the story in different directions. And I probably talk in a little bit about how we're bringing AI into that and what that can do. But even at its core, just the fact that you as an audience member can make choices that affect the direction of the story is obviously very exciting. And the fact that it's a digital medium that's more of a living, breathing thing, there's really, maybe there are no rules, and that expansiveness, I think, is the most exciting thing for us.
Yeah. And I think you're very right. So I think it was 2 years ago that this interactive movie on Netflix came out, where
Yes.
we could make the choices, see how it goes. And I remember when I was a kid, I had this book where you would read it, and then based on your choices, it told you to go to a specific page.
Yes.
So you could literally get lost in it. I think my second question, maybe I'll pose it to Keith. Where do you think this is headed at the moment? And Michael touched upon it a little bit, but where do you think we will be with storytelling in the next 5-10 years?
I think it's going to just continue to get more immersive and more personalized. You know, with the companies that are succeeding in the space today, you know, it is the silent film stage. It's actually very similar to those books you just referenced. You're reading, in this case, you're tapping and reading, you come to a choice, the story branches. You know, what we're looking to do now, from, you know, everything from more immersive 3D worlds that we're bringing to the format, to, you know, leveraging AI for greater, you know, personalization, customization of characters and what's being said. So that, to me, that's, you know, that's where I see it going. And then, you know, we're doing things, and this kind of echoes a little bit of what Michael was saying with his previous response. You know, we're doing things right now today at the company that weren't even possible, you know, a year ago. And so it's really exciting to be able to incorporate new technologies, leveraging AI, and help define what this space ultimately does become. Because what's available right now, whether on Netflix or in the app stores, that's not what interactive storytelling is going to become in the future. And so it's really exciting to kind of be at the forefront, using new technologies and helping define what that ultimately becomes.
It is
I think
really exciting.
Yeah, it's super exciting. And probably the one other piece, in addition to, as Keith said, AI and the expansive and yet personalized storytelling we're going to be able to do right now and into the future, it's the creator economy is sort of another big piece that we see. You know, we're focused on not only creating content, but collaborating with the players, giving them, you know, equipping them with easy to use creator tools to be able to actually participate in the building and enriching of the story worlds that will be coming in the next few years.
Awesome. So we talk about Weaver now, the company. You touched a bit on, you know, you guys met at the Houston Rockets game, but, you know, how did the team come together? Is there any other you know, partners or people involved? What's your, you know, you've touched on your backgrounds, but really give us you know, an overview of who you are and you know, why you're the right people to you know, build this industry.
Yeah, so I'll take that one, Michael. So Weaver grew out of our previous company, Endless Entertainment, where many of us worked together on NBC Universal's interactive storytelling platform that was called Series. We've also been really lucky to recruit top talent from major interactive storytelling companies, you know, some of the leaders today in the space, like Pocket Gems, Pixelberry, and Telltale. And the entire team, you know, is united, you know, behind our mission, which is simply to tell the most engaging and innovative stories possible. And to do that as a company, we have like 4 core pillars that guide us. Number one being creative inspiration. Our projects have to be something that everyone on the team is passionate about. Product innovation. It's got to be innovative, either technologically or in the design of the project. Cultural impact. We want to do things that can, you know, meaningfully add to the cultural landscape. And then lastly, you know, we want to make money. So commercial potential is another kind of driving force for us. We want to, we only want to greenlight projects that we believe from early data and testing have 100 million plus potential.
Since this is an investor video, we probably want to
yeah, we
say
want to
that
tell
again,
them.
even almost.
And
we want to make
you
a
know,
lot of money too.
Yeah,
literally, you know, so from having people that came from those leading, you know, companies like Pixelberry and Pocket Gems, so they have, you know, all that knowledge of how they built those successful businesses, but then working with us to create the future. It's a I think a best of breed team to go out and do this.
Okay.
Awesome. And I think so. One of the questions that we're very excited to ask you is what you guys are working on. I've seen the demo video, and as a gamer myself, I'm excited to ask you, what are you working on? What's the games that are going to be coming up?
Yeah. So, you know, right now, interactive storytelling is a super fast growing medium. The primary ways that we see success right now on mobile are what we call tap to advance games. It's almost like a interactive graphic novel, right? Where you're sort of reading, tapping through the story to advance it, making choices, the narrative branches. Incredibly popular. Right now, the medium on mobile is largely dominated by romance-driven content targeted to women. Obviously, you mentioned Bandersnatch, the Black Mirror thing on Netflix, which is, you know, obviously more sort of darker sci-fi. Telltale before that had done some interesting things with The Walking Dead and Minecraft and some other IPs. But where we're focused on mobile, it's really blowing up with the romance category. And the thing that we hear mostly with that kind of content, or the biggest complaint that people have, is they want their decisions to be having a greater impact on the story, right? Right now, and in our deck, if you see it, there's a sort of a map of what branching narrative looks like today. And, you know, versus linear, which is a line, you see branching at certain points based on choices you make, but the branching is ultimately limited in scope, and it's limited by what writers are, you know, reasonably able to produce in a content cadence that the audience requires. So the branching only goes so far. And the biggest complaint that we hear from players is they want greater impact on the stories. And so that's where I mentioned AI earlier. And AI makes a lot of exciting things possible. You know, this convergence of storytelling and AI. So one, we can deliver experiences, you know, of unprecedented levels of personalization now with AI. You mentioned seeing a demo video. I think you might be mentioning the one of our sort of AI augmented alien character, where literally you can freely input, versus right now you're presented, you know, in the current market with 2 to 4 different choices that you can make. They're pre-written, the branches are pre-written, and it's customized, it's compelling, it's working. But, you know, again, we're hearing that people are saying, well, I want it to actually have a bigger impact. So now imagine you can go from making a choice among a preset list to typing whatever you want in the story and having the story react that way. And you can see the beginnings of that with our alien video, where we use, you know, 3D animated character with text to voice. So the character actually talks and responds to you in real time, to things that you're writing right at that moment. It's really pretty exciting, from, you know, talking about, you know, hobbies or interests that you like and having a conversation about that, to actually being able to customize the character on the fly. There's a little piece in that video where, you know, the character can turn into any color that you want. You could say neon pink, you could say baby pink, you could say olive green, we tried Barbie pink once, a lot of pink, anyway, and it's able to understand that, the AI, and then react in real time. And so that level of personalization and responsiveness is kind of the big piece of what we're working on. Also, in terms of AI, using predictive analytics, and, you know, we could argue a little bit about what is AI, what is machine learning. We'll just sort of put it all under the umbrella, just for ease of conversation, under AI. But predictive analytics that are actually going to be able to predict audience behaviors, story preferences, spending habits, to be able to surface the most relevant content to that person. And not only is that going to deliver a much more engaging entertainment experience, but it's also, because we are talking to investors, designed to boost monetization as well, and create these more emotionally evocative relationships between the players and the character. And then the last piece, I think that's super important and exciting, that AI or machine learning can do, is automate the production and the content creation. So in this medium, people churn through it very, very quickly. And obviously creating, you know, an episode of content that's compelling is a whole different affair than, creating a level of a match 3 game, let's say, right? And so, so being able to actually have machine learning be automating production, doing some of the cinematography, actually, and, Keith and I, who are non-technical, didn't realize until recently how possible this is, but actually being able to have the AI writing scripts for us. And, not where you're going to be able to say, hey, AI, write me a full script. It's going to be amazing from the get-go, but getting us 75 to 80% of the way there. And then a writer just comes in and almost acts more as a editor or a curator of the content, enabling us to, exponentially increase the output of the content, which is also super important. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So, I mean, what does this mean for other industries? And I know Eva is excited about the gaming industry, but does this then, building out this industry, does this have implications on your normal TV, movies, gaming, and other industries?
Yes. I mean, it's all going to start blurring, and you see there's big announcements just the last couple of days. Netflix now getting into gaming beyond Bandersnatch and the kind of interactive choose your own adventure kind of stories that they have on the platform right now, to full-on gaming experiences. And also Zoom just announced the other day, they're gonna now be doing gaming on their platform. I think they're launching with Ellen DeGeneres has a game called Heads Up that some colleagues of ours at Playco are making. It's all starting to blend and converge. And I think, that Netflix is probably the big canary in the coal mine, elephant in the room, whatever animal metaphor. That's probably the two big ones. We'll just go with those. But in any case, really a harbinger, I think, of this melding and blurring of, storytelling, games, etc. Snapchat has games on the platform now. Where's TikTok going to be going? All of that. So for sure, interactive storytelling generally is going to have a place in lots of these platforms. AI opens up lots of interesting opportunities for education as well, with interactive games and education. And, we get asked about that a lot. We haven't fully delved into that area, but, the possibilities in the next few years are super exciting.
Yeah, the convergence of AI and storytelling, it transcends interactive storytelling, really affects entertainment. So it definitely can touch film, TV, and all the other sectors.
Yeah. So that gives us a good segue into the industry. What are your thoughts on the current trends, and where do you see it's going? Eva asked about the next 5 years, but this, if we're looking at interactive storytelling as the point on the map, where does it go? Where does this get into? You're mentioning education and all these big companies that are getting into gaming, but what does it look like for the landscape in the next 5 years? What do you think the consumers will be doing? Because this is a big part for that that monetization piece. If you're at the pinnacle of where everything's going, then what does it do? Where will me as a consumer be, watching my Netflix or Disney or whatever I have? Where will that be in 5 years?
In terms of where those platforms go, we're spending a little less time on those. In terms of where gaming and interactive entertainment go today, obviously, the primary distribution channels are, beyond PlayStation, the consoles, PC, specifically mobile, and monetization, like you asked. It's been basically a free to play or bust world for the last few years. And that's still pretty much the way to have a massive success. But you're also limited in terms of, from a player standpoint, with free to play, there's certain kinds of experiences that game developers, interactive story creators have to employ in order to properly monetize it. But with all these new exciting channels that we're talking about, Zoom, Snapchat, Netflix, but even Apple Arcade and Google Play Pass experimenting with subscription, so you don't have to have products that exclusively rely on free to play. It's going to open up all sorts of new kinds of gaming experiences. For us, what that means is where we're really heading is, from going where it is today, again, kind of that choose your own adventure, tap to advance kind of experience, to we want to head to something that we're sort of starting to call an MMOS, a massively multiplayer online storytelling experience, where you go from having a story with sort of set paths to now suddenly this immersive ongoing world with interconnected stories with infinite narrative possibilities versus just a couple of possible paths. And that's where AI makes that possible. UGC and players in the creator economy being able to actually, what we ultimately want to be able to do is build a world, give players the tools to enrich that world. And we have no doubt they're going to start creating content that we had never even contemplated before, with those tools. And I think that's a really exciting space. And so, we see some magic where there's a collaboration between our seasoned professional storytellers and the players themselves with the tools that we're going to be able to give them. And if you think about what I'm describing, you can kind of think of it as a Westworld meets The Sims kind of experience, or we call it the Roblox of storytelling. But, a big, exciting, expansive world of storytelling. And, another big buzzy word that people use these days is the metaverse. And basically where we're heading and where we think lots of things are heading is like a narrative-driven metaverse.
Wow.
That's
okay.
awesome. Yeah, no, that's perfect. So you Michael, you touched upon the next question that I wanted to ask you, one of the last ones to close it off. What are you guys most excited about these trends and this development? Where's it going? Not just from a business perspective, not just from a founder's perspective, but as individuals and consumers as well.
I mean, as a fan, again, we're sort of throwing out these different forces that we see converging between narrative, gaming mechanics, AI, social, and the creator economy. And as a fan, I mean, I just think about, you imagine if something like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, let's say, or even a show that, that you wouldn't necessarily think of to fall into this, like, let's say a Bridgerton or something like that, or Outlander, which is another big female-driven hit. And imagine those aren't just things that we watch and then separately there's a game that we play. What if there was literally, a world that we actually, an ongoing world that we get to be a part of, and we can inhabit it playing, imagine going on an actual new story adventure with the Avengers or, the Star Wars characters. And I'm there with Boba Fett, and we're going on an adventure, and it's literally tailored to me and the things that I like and love specifically about it, which may be very different than the things that you love and care about, or Keith or Daniel. And we're all getting our own personalized experience in this world. That just as a fan is super exciting to me. Is that going to be, a fully immersive thing in VR? Let's see if they figure that out. I tend to think these things are going to be largely getting more and more mobile as, the capabilities of your phone and whatever new devices we're going to have in the next few years are going to be. But yeah, as a fan, I can't wait to live inside the Marvel universe.
Yeah. Me too. Okay, so the most important part now, tell us about the raise. How much you're raising, what it's being used for, what's the offer, and what's the momentum you've had so far around it?
Yeah, so we're raising $3 million on a $12 million pre-money valuation. As far as traction on the round right now, we're in due diligence with a top gaming venture capitalist. We submitted it a couple weeks ago, so we're hoping to hear, in a week or two's time, hopeful next steps. Outside of that venture capitalist to come in and lead, we also have, I'd say about $1 million to $1.5 million now soft circled that we can close with the lead in place. And then, maybe just worth mentioning too, we had actually received a term sheet a couple months ago from a prestigious mobile gaming company. They were going to come in, lead our round. We're going to be their first investment in their new future of entertainment group. And then they had a strategy change at the corporate level where they're no longer making minority investments. So they actually now flipped that conversation into acquisition discussions. So those are ongoing as well. Obviously, at this stage, Michael and I want to bring in the money and go build a great, successful company. What was the second part of that question? I totally forgot.
What's the funds being used for?
Yeah, so the funds are going to be used to, primarily we're launching our first project. We expect to have that in soft launch, approximately 6 months post-funding. Further development of our production engine that we call Clockwork and our narrative AI system called Alfred. And then, of course, some key hires. Most important right now being a product manager.
Awesome. Well, that's it's certainly very exciting. I know, as a fan, a consumer, I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm not an avid gamer myself, but I've got a PS4, and I'm on the mobile games just to unwind. So it's exciting for me, and I'm only on the cusp of it. I imagine the people who are emerge themselves in this space, they'll be really excited to see where the next steps you take this. So from my team, from people I know, this is a very exciting space.
And I know we're wrapping up, but just something you said I think is worth mentioning, that one of the exciting things about what we do, I wouldn't just call it gaming for gamers. In fact, the medium that we're in, the majority of the people who are experiencing it wouldn't even consider themselves gamers. And in fact, all of the testing that we've done on our products, 70+% of the people clicking through who want to do this experience are people that aren't game players. So that's just, again, where we see that blurring of the lines between just people who love great stories and just more of an engaging experience that has some gaming mechanics. So we do see a huge expansion. We see it happening every day right now, and particularly in our medium, the kinds of people that would be engaging in this kind of experience aren't just gamers anymore. And given that the access to content is highly on demand, I think this is the next big blowout industry. It's just on the cusp of exploding. So thank you guys for chatting to us. We'll finish it there. What we'll do is we'll put your details of Weaver in our posts and on our websites. And if anybody who's watching this video that wants to know more, get in contact with Eva and I, and we can make an introduction to the Weaver team. But thanks guys for joining us. It's been great, and we are looking forward and exciting for the next steps. Awesome. Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Thanks for this.
Thanks guys.
Bye.
Bye everyone.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.